The record was already #1, and so Seals and Crofts, who hadn't even played on the record, made their entry into show business big time as members of the Champs.
There was a guy named Chuck Rio. He's the one that wrote the song, Tequila, and strangely enough, he talked that way all the time. That wasn't a put-on. Because he drank so much tequila, his vocal cords were gone.
No, he actually had a callus on his nose where the glass left.
Yeah, that's right, a little dent, just like this one that you got here. No, but he talked that way all the time, man, and he said he was a Spanish guy, and he said, stop the car, I must get the margarita with salt in it.
A lot of people who didn't know that I had been in show business for so many years before took the attitude that, you know, I was Jeff Wall's old lady who'd like to be a singer. And so they would say to him, you know, why don't you keep her home, let her stay in the kitchen. We've had a little money, and we've made a little time. Soon we'll grow forgetful of all we've left behind. Baby, don't let it mess your mind.
But Jeff wasn't about to give up on Helen. If anything, he became more determined to help her achieve success. Jeff would believe in and buy another young talent for Mr. Kelly's, a comedian. A friendship would develop, and Jeff would confide his devotion to Helen and his goals for her to Flip Wilson.
He said, I'd like for you to meet my wife. He said, my wife is going to be a fine singer someday. And he took me by their apartment. Helen made coffee, and I and Helen sat in the kitchen there. He played a dub of a record. He played the record for me 5 or 6 times. And he said, you know what I'm going to do? And I said, what? He said, I'm going to quit my job and devote all my time to promoting my wife's career. I was quite surprised. That was a big statement for a guy to make.
And you love me too.
Years before, as a young lad in Delight, Arkansas, Glenn occasionally got a chance to pick cotton for neighbors to earn the all-important quarter that transported him far away, into the land that was ruled by one of Glenn's boyhood idols, John Wayne.
Robert, I'd heard of Glenn Campbell prior to Glenn's being booked to do True Grit with me. I heard of him because he was my daughter Maurice's first hero. So I certainly did know about him, and had listened to him over and over and over again. And I had formed an opinion of him.
Although single records weren't happening for the airplane, the albums were selling, generating a tremendous following on the concert circuit. And as Bill Graham recalls, the band was still as unpredictable as ever.
We played the Hollywood Bowl, and in those days it was the big thing that, of course, it was very important for every musician to communicate with that audience that we're all one, you know. Just before the gig they said, Bill, why don't we do something to the stage, you know? I said, well, you can't because there's the moat and there's water between you and the audience. He said, well, why don't we cover it up and get some stuffed animals and have zebras and cows and horses? So he said, all right. So we rented $4,000 or $5,000 worth of stuffed animals, and the drummer at that time said, hey, I think another thing that's far out. Get me a big color TV set and stick it by. And wouldn't it be groovy that I'm playing and I'm watching TV at the same time? Don't you think it's far out? No, I don't think it's far out, but you want it? We'll do it. So the gig begins, and just before the gig, I walked backstage and I said, my friends, I love you madly. Now repeat after me. I'm going to go to you one by one. I said, promise me, you will not invite them up to dance. And you, and you, and you, and you, and you. Right down the line. Fine. Thank you. Hands together. Let's go out and win the game. Good. At the end of the third song, one of our friends walks up to the mic, and I remember it like it was yesterday. It says, why are you sitting there? Why don't you get up and dance? Well, at the sound of zero, 10 out of 18,000 people just get up and go, whoosh. The animals were destroyed. The TV set was robbed. The stage was a shambles. It was a ludicrous scene. 20 minutes of madness. I finally got them back into the audience. And of course, after they said, Bill, what happened? And there's no answer. But there was a desire at that split moment to tell the audience, we're all together, aren't we? And then you say, Bill, don't ever let that happen again. I said, I can't. You'll drive me crazy. But I love you. Do you love me? Let's go on to the next town.
My brother had come to me, speaking of a blind kid who played the harmonica and played bongos and could sing, you know, with a little group. And he'd been on my back about it. And I would always come up with some kind of an excuse.
But the day came when Ronnie White's kid brother refused to take no for an answer.
And anyway, I was home. He called me and told me that this little kid was over to his house. And he says, you said you were going to come and listen to him, so come on over. He's over here right now. I said, okay, Gerald. So I went over, and there's this little blind kid sitting between a guy who's playing guitar and a guy who's playing bass, and he's banging on a couple of bongos that were kind of tattered and playing a harmonica. And it took me out. It blew my mind because he was fantastic. He was just great. The potential was there for him to become possibly another Stevie Wonder.
They were three, just boys really, when the journey began in the cold, chilly damp of England. Separately, they had come to this place. They talked of many things, of day and night, of good and bad, and all the colors in between. They talked of animals like the world had never seen, and oh, what visions and signs they saw dancing in their minds. And these three, called America, set out upon a horse to see what they could find.
On the first part of the journey, I was looking at all the life. There were plants and birds and rocks and things.
And we played the song and we ended it. We ended the song and stopped it.